When we come across the text, let us make man in our image and after our own likeness. The question that comes to our mind is, how do we interpret image and likeness? In its literal sense, physical form, or is there a hidden meaning to it? Let's find out. What does he mean by image and likeness? Does it literally mean a physical form? God with 2 hands, 2 feet, a body, eyes, ears, nose? Or is there a hidden meaning behind it? Literally, it would mean, a physical form and to a greater extent, a spirit, a soul that's living behind. And yes, we have that. But the Bible is full of hidden meanings, of words having greater meaning and importance and revealing hidden truths. So what does image and likeness really hold for us? The church fathers, the scholars and theologians have said and have opined and have reflected and presented to us that the image consists of reason, which makes man so different from the rest of creation. There's free will that is also unique to creation, not run by its instincts, but having a mind and being able to choose and decide what he wants to do. A potential to understand hidden meanings and further truths. A potential to enter into a love relationship with his creator, that is God, with fellow human beings, with nature, with himself. Also, the image talks about having an understanding of morality, of dignity, and so on and so forth. Then what does likeness have to do? Many times image and likeness are used synonymously and are said they mean the same thing. Yes, it's a little divided. There are some who say it's the same, there are some who say there's a slight difference. But when I reflect and see, likeness is the additional gift which is not the essential part of the human being, but a very important aspect of the human being. And what comes under likeness is righteousness, holiness, and grace. Now, what does this all mean? Now, to put it in simple words with a proper synthesis, what we understand from scripture and from the various writings and our own little reflection, we can see that image is a capacity for, and likeness is an ability to. Now, when we say capacity for and ability to, they again sound synonymous. They're the same, right? No, there is a slight difference. A capacity for is a potential. For example, I can be a great footballer. Why? I have 2 feet, I can run, I can do things. I can play the game. But do I have the ability to? Not yet. I would need to undergo training, I would need to learn, I need to build my stamina, I need to go on a proper diet, a fitness routine, practice, and one day probably, yes, I will become a footballer. The same way, our image and likeness. Our image we just discussed is our reason, our free will, our understanding. All of these, what we can achieve, our potential to love like an agape love, an unconditional love like the Father, or to be able to love just as the Father loves, to understand with compassion just like Jesus did. All of this, yes, it is there. A free will also to do what I want to do and not do what I don't want to do. But what happens is a little different. That's where the likeness works as the ability to. It's the tools that help us achieve this capacity, this potential. And that's what righteousness, holiness, and grace helps us to channel our reason, to channel our free will to what is right and good and holy, rather than for what is not. As Adam and Eve were created in the image and likeness of God, we go further and in Genesis 3 we see the fall of man. Here Satan comes in form of the serpent and cunningly challenges the likeness of Eve. It's very similar to what he did with Jesus. He tempted Jesus saying, if you are the Son of God, he placed a doubt in Jesus. Tried to place a doubt in Jesus' mind. No, you are not the Son of God. Similarly, he said to Eve, you will be like God, intending to say, oh, you know what? You are not like God. You have to become like God. And this fruit will help you become like God. And God is not allowing you for this fruit because otherwise you'll become like him. Maybe she understood it as, I'll become equal to God. But that's not what it was supposed to be. And Eve ate of the fruit, and Adam ate of the fruit, and it's a metaphor all of mankind sinning, disobeying God, and going their way and falling from grace. Now, what happened with that is the lower nature got activated, lower nature of humanity got activated and warped the likeness. Theologians say that the fall of man resulted in the loss of likeness and a corruption of the image. So, again, our reason today is corrupted, our free will is corrupted. Remember that passage? I don't do the good I want to do, and the evil I don't want to do, I'll end up doing. We don't understand. We cannot love the way we should love, how much ever we want to. Morality, dignity, everything warped up. Remember slave trade and casteism and war and all of that. Why? Because our likeness is destroyed. And our likeness is replaced by what I'd like to call an unlikeness, which we see again in Genesis chapter 3. Shame, strife, suffering, separation from God, death, and a propensity to evil replaces righteousness, holiness, and grace. And now our image, which was in the image of God, of good reason, of sound free will, of understanding, of capacity to love, is now tarnished. Faith is replaced by doubt. Hope is replaced by despair. Love by lust. Justice by injustice. Temperance with greed. And fortitude is replaced by fear. And immediately we see when God confronted Adam and Eve, Adam started playing the blame game. Had the likeness not been destroyed, he would own up. He would say, yes, Lord, I have sinned. But he said, oh, that woman who you put with me, she gave it to me. Eve said, the serpent gave it to me. And that story is on even today. Even today we see us blaming. Very rarely do we find ourselves taking onus of our mistakes. We see brothers, Abel and Cain killing Abel. Total loss of love, total loss of holiness, of righteousness. And sin went on and on and on. And so, what does this mean for us? Where are we? Are we so separated from God? Yes, as Adam and Eve were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, we too are separated from God because of our sin. And the tree of life that was taken away from them. And what did man do? He sought fig leaves and tried to come, but God gave them an animal skin, showing to them the plan that He has in the mind for them, the plan of salvation which He had for them. And we see, as in the Old Testament, man went on sinning and went on getting farther and farther from God. All his works and all his deeds never were able to bring him back close to Him. The Father loved the world so much that He gave His Son, a true unconditional love. He gave His Son Jesus to restore back the image and likeness that we were created in, to restore our image in His own image and our likeness in His own likeness. And we see Mary and Joseph partakers in this. Mary saying, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Joseph accepting Mary and being the foster father of Jesus. These are examples of unconditional love, of loving beyond the way that we humans would love in our sinful state, going beyond our limitations of our likeness of God and opening the floodgates for us to become in the likeness of God. And Jesus, in obedience, when He died, He fulfilled the words that greater love has no man than this, to lay down his life for his friends. And He fulfilled that agape love and brought to us salvation. And we see the fulfillment of that in the book of Revelations, where we see the multitudes, thousands upon thousands, and thousands upon 10,000s, worshipping the Lamb in white robes, in robes of righteousness. Now these are the robes that they have washed in the blood of the Lamb, as we read in Revelation 7 and 22. And those who wash their robes in the blood of the Lamb will receive back, will be able to access the tree of life, will have the right to the tree of life. The tree of life which was separated from man because of the loss of the image and likeness, because the corruption of the image and the warpedness of the likeness is now restored through Jesus, and that image and likeness is restored back for us to be in communion with Him forever and ever. If you like this video, the information given to you here, do like, subscribe for further notifications on what we have to share with you. Until we meet again, God bless.